Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chapter 2. If this is your first video for Chapter 2, that means you missed vocabulary, so I suggest going back and checking that out. Uh, from this point on, we are going to be talking about the actual notes, going into details about the 4 different kinds of tissues in your body. And for sake of organization, I am separating them out into their own individual videos. So today, we are just going to do an overview of the 4 tissue types and all the basic ideas surrounding them. So without further ado, let's jump right in. All right, so introduction to tissues. Study of tissues, also known as histology. And I showed you a video similar to this in the vocab, where we have the different kinds of tissues made up of the different kinds of cells. And as you can see, this is somebody's arm and forearm. And we got a whole bunch of stuff going on here that we're going to be talking about. We have this yellow stuff right here is the fat underneath your skin. And in a microscope, this is a real microscope slide, by the way. Scientists typically dye the slides darker colors so that you can see it better. But the dyes are water-based and fat is oil-based, so they don't mix. So you're actually dyeing everything around it, so it just looks white. That's how you know you're looking at fat. And then here we have the skeleton, but in between the bones and the joints, we have cartilage. And the bones themselves look like this. These are the bone cells. And then here is a blood vessel. Looking inside of it, we can see actual blood cells. We see red cells and white cells. They do look different. And then the actual skin cells, what you would expect to see on the surface, but we are going to look at it differently. This is a surface view, but we're going to turn it to the side and look at it sideways because there are going to be layers that we need to look at. And then here, muscles, you can see that it looks like a whole bunch of strings. It doesn't look like individual cells like it does over here or up here. This actually looks like a whole bunch of strings lined up on each other, like you're looking really close at the fabric of a shirt. And that's what muscle cells actually look like. Individual threads we call fibers. So let's talk about those cells. We got 2 different things to worry about when we talk about tissues. We have the cells and the matrix. More on that in a little bit. Cells are the living portion of a tissue. Remember, we learned in Bio 1 that cells actually are alive. Now, they're not self-aware or anything. Don't worry about that. It's not like Osmosis Jones, where it's a whole bunch of personalities living down there. They're not like that, but they are technically alive, individual living things, each one doing a different job in order to keep you alive. And tissue is when you have similar types of cells with similar jobs working together. So we have similar connective tissue cells all bound together, similar epithelial cells, we'll know that as skin cells, right? A group of similar skin cells all bound together, muscle cells bound together, nerve cells bound together. That's what makes up a tissue. These are examples, like I said, muscle cells are made out of muscle tissue. Muscle cells form muscle tissue. We have different kinds of muscle cells we're going to be talking about. Just pictures of them, what they look like in a microscope. Again, they look like fibers. Another example, nerve cells, we know as neurons that form nervous tissue. So here's a artist picture of a neuron. Here's a real picture of them. Again, dyed a darker purple so we can see them better. You can see that they're branching out, reaching out. They're not just the cell you learned in Bio 1, but they have added pieces so they can reach out and communicate with each other. That's a nerve cell's job, is to send information, to communicate. I said there were 2 things to worry about, the cells and the matrix. So the question is, what is the matrix? Well, the matrix, if the cells are the living portion, the matrix is the non-living portion. It's glue. It is biological glue that is holding your living cells together. Right? Kind of hard for you to imagine that if you've never seen it before. So instead, think of a rock. Some rocks are actually smaller rocks cemented together. So if you think of those smaller rocks as the cells, the cement is the matrix. It's what's binding all of them together. And that's what your tissues are like. If you look at this picture here, the purple cells are the connective tissue cells, and this yellowy material is this glue-like material that keeps them together so you don't fall apart. And I wrote here, it's only in connective tissue. That was a mistake, but it is mostly found in connective tissue in its greatest abundance, but it is found in the other tissues as well, holding all of them together. So here's a zoomed in picture of that last slide. We can see the 4 individual types, and that's what we're going to be talking about really quick. Just a quick overview of these 4 types. Starting with epithelial. Epithelial tissue is a weird word. You probably know it better as skin tissue. Except that it's not just skin. You actually have epithelial tissue in other places around your body, and we don't call it skin in those places. Okay? So epithelial tissue is any form of protective covering. It functions as secretion absorption, meaning just like your skin, you can sweat in other places. You can actually absorb materials as well. We learned in the vocabulary that every single organ in your body has its own protective covering. So some organs are going to be creating chemicals, creating hormones, and those hormones need to be able to get out so you can secrete them out. Some of them are going to absorb nutrients, so you got to bring them in. So it is a protective covering that allows things to transport back and forth. Here's some other pictures of it. We're going to go into more detail about what these shapes actually mean in a future video. Connective tissue. This is going to be form support structures. This will support softer body parts like your internal organs, holding things in place. And it's going to bind structures together. So binding, I mean like your skeleton, your bones are held together by connective tissue called ligaments. They look like strings, ropes, fibers. That's a form of connective tissue. Your blood is a form of connective tissue too. It's not physically holding you together, but it is connecting your lungs to your heart by delivering oxygen to your heart. It's connecting your digestive system to all of your muscles by delivering nutrients from your food to the muscles that need the nutrition. So all different kinds of connective tissue to talk about. Muscle tissue is going to be used to produce movement. As we said in the vocab, the only thing a muscle can do is contract. And that's it. That's it. Muscles can do one action. They shorten. That's it. And when they shorten, anything that they're attached to are going to get closer together. That coming closer together is what moves your body. When your bicep shortens or contracts, your forearm starts moving closer to your shoulder, and that is you lifting your hand up. Every movement is some form of that. And we're going to have a chapter talking about all different muscles and which ones move which body parts. Nerve tissue. We're not going to go into too much detail about the nervous system in this chapter because I have 2 separate chapters dealing with your nerves and how they work in your body. So this is just going to be mostly the structure and basic functions. What they do is conduct impulses, meaning actual electric currents are moving through these cells. And those electric currents are causing hormones to move, and that's going to be telling your body what to do. So they coordinate body activities. They tell your body what to do. Okay, and that is it for today. Starting in the next video, we are going to be going into a deeper dive of each kind of tissue in detail. So until then, check Google Classroom and see if I have left you any kind of assignment. As of the filming of this video, I don't know what I will be planning for your classwork, so keep a lookout for that. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.